Feeling restless or finding the drive to make changes? Frustrating communication or assertive self-expression? Anxious spinning thoughts or the curiosity that takes you out of them? During this long stretch of Mars in Gemini energy, you get to decide. Hi, I'm Bella of Nurture Astrology. I'm a professional Western astrologer that specializes in supporting you to make conscious choices that empower you and help you make the most out of life. And today I want to talk about Mars in Gemini, it having just moved into Gemini August 20th. And the reason this is an especially important topic to tackle sooner than later is that unlike what is typical, this time Mars is going to stay in Gemini for over 7 months, which is very unusual because the average time is 2 months. This is due to Mars retrograde that's going to begin in late October and go into mid-January from 2022 to 2023. And this gives us a nice long period to work with this energy. And it's really important to get right because Mars energy really invites us to work with it assertively. And when we don't, we experience frustrations from the external world that nudge us into that direction unless and until we finally learn the lesson. So it's important to understand what the lesson is, what it's inviting us to step into, and to work with that energy as consciously as you can. As I mentioned, this has to do with communication, transportation, internal mental processes, and the energy that is within your body, and the curiosity to step into more knowledge, more awareness of ourselves, of the world around us, and of what we need in order to move forward in a way that supports our long-term well-being and helps us to feel driven in life rather than frustrated by it. Some of the most obvious ways that this is going to show up is frustration with communication, with transportation, all of this inviting us to get more clear on how we can communicate more assertively, how we can move more assertively in directions that matter to us, how what we know or potentially don't know is either supporting or stymieing us from moving forward in life, and how we can make the conscious choice to fill that void with the information we need. This could be a time when we feel more antsiness in our body. We can feel very restless. This invites us to work with the energy within our body more actively, more consciously, and more often. That's anything from more exercise to simply more outlets, a variety of outlets. Things that stimulate you again, that make you feel passionate, make you feel curious, and make you feel like you're moving forward in some way. This is a time when we become very clear on what we don't know and how it's standing in our way, and therefore how we need to step forward with that, how we need to communicate more assertively to get our message across, to express ourselves, what we need to learn, and how we can go about doing so, especially anything to do with energy, Mars being the planet of energy. Everything to do with energy, anything from assertiveness to the physical energy in our body to physical exercise, and many different things in between. It's the invitation to have a willful and meaningful long-term life experience where you feel connected to where you're moving in life. With Gemini, that's a lot of different things, and it does connect strongly with the mind, but the mind is not the only thing that we have to work with at this point. Of course, it also shows up in communications outside ourselves, not the mind just internally, but also just communications with people around us. All of that is still inviting us into our mind to get clear on where our thoughts may be spinning, where we may be trapped in ideas of some kind of victimhood or inability, where we may feel a certain kind of entitlement or are so busy expressing ourselves that we're actually shooting ourselves in the foot, and where we may need to learn to not just communicate assertively, but also smartly, wisely, in a way that gets the message across in the way we want. Because sometimes some people, depending on your chart, they're as always with astrology, it's very relevant who is listening and what your chart looks like, what kind of energies you work with. And so if you're someone with a lot of Mars, you may be actually using too much Mars energy in your communication, and then you're shooting yourself in the foot because your message isn't actually being received, you're not actually being understood. Instead, you're inflaming other minds. And so you may need to learn to figure out how to communicate in a way that gets your message across in the right way. For most people, however, that does tend to look like needing to be more assertive, more verbal, in ways that are still that are still smart, that are still getting a message across that you need to get across. But often we are too quiet in our use of voice and expression. And so the people who are more quiet need to learn to speak up more, to bring more energy, more oomph to your message, to your expression. Some of the other things that could be experienced during this time are a great amount of anxiety, because again, within the mind there's more spinning. The energy can get very trapped in the mind, and so of course there's always the invitation to come back deeper into the body, to take deeper breaths, to figure yourself out, and to move through that forward in a way that has you connected with your energy in a conscious manner, as opposed to just being reactive, which is something Mars is quote-unquote good at, but not always to our benefit. What you're trying to do is be more responsive rather than reactive. And so there could be more road rage during this time, but that might invite you to learn new ways to approach travel, whether you take other roads, you explore your options, you look for new ways. Gemini likes variety, likes to stay open and flexible, and that is one of its greatest strengths. So with Mars there, we're being invited to look at all our different options, especially ones we haven't looked at before, and explore how those could be the solution to our issues these days. Now, of course, Mars is going to stay in Gemini for over 7 months, giving us a lot of time to figure that out and perfect it. Of course, that also means that the frustrating bits of it are going to be showing up more and more as flare-ups until and unless we learn the lessons. So this is one of the reasons I'm putting out this video now, before Mars is even in retrograde. And Mars had just gone into Gemini just yesterday as I'm recording this, August 20th. And the invitation is going to be with us for 7 whole months. So I invite you to ponder and to take actionable steps towards approaching things with a greater assertive energy in the way you communicate, in the way you move the restless energy in your body and energy as a whole, what you need to know, what you need to learn about Mars, about energy in general, anything to do with the way the energy moves through your body, anything from learning more about medicine to learning more about martial arts, or taking a yoga class, or taking some communication courses, mastering new communication technologies, and moving more actively, moving your energy more. So anything to do with exercise, anything to do with perhaps medicine, or even energy medicine, which is also a very powerful way to go about these things. Very important subject to look into. So I invite you to ponder these things and to try to remember to apply them during the next 7 months. Now, of course, with astrology, nothing is in a vacuum. Everything works cohesively, but this video is devoted just to Mars and Gemini. There are going to be a lot of other things coming up, so I will attempt to make more videos that will support you in that. So please subscribe, hit the like button. Feel free to follow me on nurtureastrology.com, and feel free to reach out for personal readings, which is my specialty in supporting you, the individual, on how all these energies specifically land in your life. It's always a lot more specific when it's with the individual. I'm here for you if you need me. Find me at nurtureastrology.com. Thanks and happy transits.